Welcome to today's deep dive. If you're tuning in right now, there is a very good chance you are carrying a mental load that just feels incredibly heavy.
Oh, absolutely. You're probably juggling, work deadlines, personal obligations.
Right, trying to keep up with the news.
Yeah, and somehow trying to maintain some semblance of a social life on top of all that.
Exactly. So, we are taking you on a mission today to extract the most vital, perspective-shifting insights from Richard Carlson's classic book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And it's all small stuff.
hmm And the goal here is not just to, like, recap a famous book.
No, definitely not. We are going to build a custom mental toolkit specifically for you, the listener, to help you stop treating your daily life like this endless emergency, to cut through the noise of all that information overload and just find some immediate clarity.
Because the material we're looking at, it's so valuable precisely because it actively moves away from uh, vague philosophical advice. The sources give us highly specific, actionable strategies to transition your mind, to take it from a constant state of knee-jerk reaction to a grounded state of perspective.
It's basically about rewiring how you perceive threats
Right.
in your everyday environment.
Exactly.
And the origin of the book's title itself provides this incredible high-stakes hook that perfectly illustrates what we're talking about.
It really does. It's such a great story.
Yeah. According to the source material, Richard Carlson was preparing his book for publication, and he discovered that a foreign publisher they'd taken an old endorsement quote from the legendary author Dr. Wayne Dyer, and they just plastered it right on the cover of Carlson's new book without any permission whatsoever.
Which, in the publishing industry, that is a massive ethical and legal breach.
Oh, huge.
It's the kind of thing that instantly triggers lawsuits, demands for pulled inventory, months of really stressful litigation.
And Carlson was understandably furious. He was gearing up for battle, his agent was involved, tensions were super high. So Carlson sat down to write this very tense, highly apologetic letter to Dr. Dyer, basically bracing for the inevitable fallout. And weeks go by.
The anticipation must have been awful.
Right. But finally, Wayne Dyer writes back. And his response was literally just a few sentences. He wrote, "Richard, there are two rules for living in harmony. Number one, don't sweat the small stuff. And number two, it's all small stuff. Let the quote stand."
Wow. He essentially short-circuited an entire legal crisis with two sentences.
Totally.
He demonstrated what it actually looks like to, walk the walk. He recognized that while the publisher's action was technically wrong, escalating it into a massive confrontation simply didn't warrant the emotional and financial energy it would consume.
He refused to treat a moderate annoyance like a five-alarm fire.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to successfully stop sweating the small stuff, like Wayne Dyer did, we first have to figure out why we're sweating it so profusely in the first place.
Right, getting to the root of it.
Yeah, and looking through the sources, the absolute foundation of our modern stress seems to be this deeply ingrained, really false belief that our personal worth is intrinsically tied to finishing an endless to-do list.
Yes.
The sources refer to this as the myth of the in-basket.
The in-basket. We all operate under this shared cultural delusion that our physical and digital in-baskets are meant to eventually be empty.
Like we'll reach inbox zero and just achieve enlightenment.
Right. But think about the psychological trap there. You likely neglect your own peace of mind, or maybe you brush off your loved ones because you tell yourself a story.
The story of as soon as I finish this.
Exactly. As soon as I finish this checklist, as soon as my inbox hits zero, as soon as I get through this awful week, then I will finally relax.
But the reality check the source material offers here is beautifully blunt. Your in-basket will not be empty when you die.
No, it won't.
It is practically a mathematical impossibility. In fact, having a full in-basket just means your time and skills are in demand. The harsh but, kind of liberating truth is that when you die, someone else will simply step in and finish your unfinished business.
Yeah, the world keeps turning.
Exactly. Your life's purpose is not to act as a human paper shredder, just clearing out tasks until you expire.
And understanding that impossibility leads directly to one of the most counterintuitive pieces of advice in the entire text.
Which is?
Well, society has trained us to wear our high-stress tolerance as a badge of honor.
Oh, totally. Like hustle culture.
Right. Think about your last job interview. You probably sat there and boasted, "Oh, I work incredibly well under pressure."
I thrive in chaos.
Exactly. We are taught to be proud of how much anxiety we can shoulder. But the source argues that you should actively strive to lower your tolerance to stress.
Wait, okay, if you tell me to lower my stress tolerance, my immediate fear is that I'm just going to turn into a slacker.
A lot of people feel that way.
I mean, I feel like I'm going to drop the ball on major projects, miss deadlines, let people down. If my life requires me to juggle 10 flaming torches, and you tell me to lower my tolerance for fire, aren't I just going to get burned?
It feels like that, yes.
Yeah.
It feels like playing a game of Tetris where the blocks never stop falling and you're telling us to just put the controller down.
Exactly.
But what's fascinating here is that lowering your tolerance actually has the opposite effect of making you a slacker.
Really? How so?
It's about understanding the biological mechanism of adaptation. Your current stress level will always rise to perfectly match your tolerance.
Oh, wow.
So if you train yourself to function at level 9 out of 10 on the anxiety scale, your life will magically fill with level 9 crises.
Because you've signaled to your brain that this is your normal operating baseline?
Exactly. We're essentially normalizing the panic.
So we just get used to everything being an emergency.
We do. So think of your stress tolerance like your body's immune system. If your immune system has an incredibly high tolerance for foreign bacteria, it's going to ignore a minor infection until it turns into full-blown pneumonia.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. Lowering your stress tolerance means training your psychological immune system to catch the threat early. It means noticing your mind starting to race when the stress is only at, like, a level 2.
So you don't wait for the fire alarm to go off.
Precisely. Because you catch it early, you have the mental bandwidth to back off, take a breath, and regain your bearings before you're overwhelmed. You become vastly more focused and creative because you're solving problems from a baseline of calm, rather than putting out fires in a state of perpetual panic.
Okay, so lowering our stress tolerance makes sense in theory to catch the panic early, but how do we actually do that when our brain is actively manufacturing crises out of thin air?
That's the real challenge.
Because the sources point out that the mechanism that creates this perpetual emergency isn't always the outside world, right? It's our own runaway thinking.
The material refers to this as the snowball effect of your thinking.
The snowball effect.
Yeah, it illustrates the exact mechanism of how a tiny, neutral observation rolls down a mental hill, gathering mass and speed until it becomes an emotional avalanche.
The classic example provided is waking up at 3 a.m., you open your eyes in the dark, and you suddenly remember a phone call you forgot to return the previous day.
Happens to all of us.
Right. And that is a completely neutral fact. You forgot a phone call.
But instead of acknowledging the fact and going back to sleep, your brain starts pushing the snowball.
You think, oh man, I have to call them tomorrow, but tomorrow I have that massive meeting with my boss. What if my boss asks about that delayed project?
Oh, it escalates so fast.
He's definitely going to be annoyed. I work so hard. Why doesn't anyone appreciate the hours I put in? I have absolutely no free time. I'm wasting my life in this job.
And within 60 seconds, you're lying awake, furiously angry at the universe.
Heart rate is elevated, sweating, and it all started with a forgotten phone call.
Here's where it gets really interesting. What is crucial to understand here is the profound psychological mechanism at play.
Okay.
The point-to-point relationship between your thinking and your feeling.
So they are directly connected.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you literally cannot experience a feeling of stress without first having a stressful thought.
Wow, okay.
Unhappiness doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is the physical and emotional feeling that directly accompanies negative thinking.
We are essentially acting as the frantic directors of our own personal soap operas.
We really are.
We invent the script, we direct the conflict, and then we sit in the audience and cry about how stressful the play is. The source specifically challenges you to turn your melodrama into a melodrama.
I love that phrase, melodrama.
Yeah. And the way you do that is by changing the channel the absolute second you notice that snowball starting to roll.
And the strategy offered for this is to treat your negative thoughts like flies at a picnic.
Flies at a picnic. Okay, paint that picture for me.
Think about the physical action there. When a fly lands near your potato salad, you don't sit there and analyze it.
No, of course not.
You don't try to trace its origin story or figure out what the fly's presence means about your deeper childhood trauma.
You just swat it away.
You just shoot away and go back to enjoying your meal. You don't fight it, you don't engage with it, you just dismiss it.
That's a great visual.
And to help build the perspective required to easily dismiss those thoughts, the sources suggest playing the time warp game.
Oh, the time warp game. Let's actually play this out for you, the listener, right now. Let's say you just sent a massive, highly important email to your entire company.
The dreaded company-wide email.
Right. And 10 seconds after you hit send, you realize there is a glaring, embarrassing typo in the very first sentence.
Oh, no.
Your stomach drops. The snowball starts rolling. But the time loop game asks you to imagine it is exactly 1 year from today and ask yourself honestly, is this situation really as important as I'm making it out to be?
The neurological benefit of this cognitive distancing is profound.
Cognitive distancing, right?
When you force your brain to project a year into the future, you move the blood flow away from your amygdala.
Which is the fear center, right?
Yes, away
Okay.
from the fear center and back into your prefrontal cortex, which governs logic. A year from now, you will not remember the typo, you won't remember the rude barista, and you certainly won't remember the traffic jam on a Tuesday.
So by shifting the timeline, you neutralize the perceived threat.
Exactly.
But, arresting that mental snowball works beautifully when we are sitting alone in an empty room.
Sure.
But the second we walk out our front door, we inevitably run into the next major obstacle to our peace of mind. Other people.
Ah, yes, other people.
How do we apply this internal calm when dealing with external frustrations, like someone actively cutting us off in traffic or a coworker undermining us?
Well, the sources tackled this external friction by identifying the ultimate ego trap we all fall into. And that is the desperate, exhausting need to always be right.
The classic dilemma of choosing between being right and being happy.
It's a constant struggle.
Because defending our positions, constantly correcting people, and proving our superiority, it takes an enormous amount of energy, and it almost always alienates the people around us.
Consider the real-world application of this. Have you ever aggressively corrected someone, proven beyond a shadow of a doubt with facts and logic that they were wrong, and had them respond with, "Wow, thank you so much for pointing out my flaws. I feel so much closer to you now."
I can safely say that has never happened in the history of human interaction.
Exactly.
The source really emphasizes choosing to be kind over being right. And it introduces this fascinating concept of becoming an anthropologist in your daily life.
An anthropologist.
Yeah. Instead of judging people who act differently than you or annoy you, you simply observe them with curiosity, entirely without judgment.
It is a deliberate shift from being a critic to being an observer.
And there's a great anecdote in the material illustrating this. Carlson is at a shopping mall with his young daughter, and they see a group of punk rockers with spiked orange hair and full-body tattoos. He notes that the old reactive version of himself would have immediately judged them, felt threatened or annoyed by their loud presence, and probably passed that anxious judgment right onto his kid.
Which is such a common reaction.
Right. But applying the anthropologist mindset, he just looks at them, studies them objectively, and tells his daughter, "It's interesting how different we all are, isn't it?"
He neutralized the internal conflict entirely.
Totally.
He observed the behavior without taking it personally or feeling the ego-driven need to correct their lifestyle in his own mind.
But let me push back on this just on behalf of anyone listening who deals with difficult people. The punk rockers at the mall are just minding their own business.
Right.
But what if the other person is objectively wrong, or they are directing their rudeness specifically at you? Say a customer service rep is yelling at you.
That's a different scenario, sure.
Are we supposed to just become anthropologists, study their anger, and let them walk all over us? Because this sounds like a recipe for becoming a doormat.
This raises an important question, and it's a vital distinction the sources make. Choosing to be kind over being right is absolutely not about accepting abuse.
Okay, good.
It's not about abandoning your core philosophical truths or becoming a doormat. It is about a strategy called seeing the innocence.
Seeing the innocent.
Yes. The underlying premise is recognizing that underneath annoying, aggressive, or rude behavior is almost always a deeply frustrated person crying out for compassion.
So when the postal worker is moving at a snail's pace or your coworker snaps at you during a meeting, you have a distinct choice in how you process their energy.
You can take their behavior personally, internalize their negativity, and let it ruin your entire afternoon. Or you look beyond the behavior.
Right.
You can recognize that they're probably dealing with immense stress, a terrible day, or their own runaway mental snowball.
So you give them the benefit of the doubt.
By giving them the benefit of that, you aren't fixing your attitude,
Yeah.
and you aren't saying their behavior is acceptable. You are simply refusing to absorb it.
Oh, that's powerful.
You are preserving your own energy and refusing to let their bad mood infect your good mood.
So we've reframed our internal thoughts, and we have established boundaries to stop fighting with everyone around us.
The internal and the external.
Right. The final piece of the puzzle the sources explore is how we proactively build this piece into our daily physical habits.
Hmm.
And one of the most surprising, almost jarring pieces of advice in the entire text is the mandate to allow yourself to be bored.
Yes, allow yourself to be bored. The material makes a profound observation that we have devolved from human beings into human doings.
Human doings, that hits hard.
Our modern nervous systems are terrified of silence. We walk into the house and immediately turn on the TV. We check our phones while standing in line for coffee.
We constantly need secondary stimulation. We
Exactly.
treat every unscheduled second as a void that must be filled with productivity or entertainment.
And the neurological cost of this constant stimulation is immense. When you never allow yourself to be bored, your brain never gets to idle.
It's just always running hot.
It is constantly processing inputs, which keeps your baseline stress levels artificially elevated. The sources suggest that allowing yourself to sit and simply stare out a window for 10 minutes isn't a waste of time.
It's doing us something.
It is a required biological reset. It lowers your dopamine dependency and allows your nervous system to genuinely recover.
And this frantic, constant need for stimulation, it spills directly into how we communicate with others, too. Because we are so uncomfortable with silence, we treat conversation like a competitive sport.
Oh, absolutely.
The material compares it to playing conversational ping pong. We don't actually listen to the person speaking. We just wait anxiously for them to stop making noise so we can immediately hit our own point back across the net.
We are so focused on our own rebuttal that we completely miss the connection of the interaction.
The sources suggest a radical alternative to the ping pong match. Breathe before you speak.
Just breathe.
Literally, let the other person finish their sentence, pause, take a physical breath, and then respond.
That tiny fraction of a second does two incredible things. First, it eliminates the harried, competitive nature of the interaction.
Right.
Second, it makes the other person feel truly heard and validated, which instantly diffuses tension.
So what does this all mean? We treat conversation and life events like a competitive sport we have to win immediately. What if we just stepped off the court for a second?
By stepping off the court, you stop reacting, which connects to a Buddhist concept mentioned in the sources, the idea of seeing the glass is already broken.
The glass is already broken.
Yes, when you accept that all things in life are transient, you realize you don't possess the omniscience to know if a specific event is ultimately good or bad in the grand scheme of your timeline.
Right, which brings up getting comfortable with not knowing what happens next, releasing our tight grip on controlling every outcome. There is a beautiful story in the sources that perfectly captures this concept, the story of the wise old man and the farmer.
This parable gets right to the heart of how we unnecessarily label events in our lives.
So a farmer comes to the village's wise old man in an absolute panic and says, "My ox has died. I have no animal to plow my field. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen to my family."
Total catastrophe.
Right. And the wise man simply looks at him and says, calmly, "Maybe so, maybe not." The farmer is furious, thinking the wise man is a fool.
Naturally.
But the very next day, because he has no ox, the farmer is forced to go into the hills where he spots a strong wild horse. He captures it, brings it home, and his plowing is easier and faster than ever before.
So the farmer rushes back to the wise man and says, "You were right. Losing the ox was actually the best thing that ever happened to me."
And the wise man, again, replies, "Maybe so, maybe not."
Sure enough, a few days later, the farmer's son is attempting to tame the wild horse, gets thrown off violently, and breaks his leg.
Oh, man.
The farmer wails, "Now my son cannot help me farm. We will surely starve. This is a disaster."
And the wise man.
Maybe so, maybe not. The very next morning, the National Army marches into the village to forcefully draft every able-bodied young man for a deadly war. But because the farmer's son has a broken leg, he is passed over and his life is spared.
Wow. When you stop demanding that the universe strictly adheres to your preferences, you completely free yourself from the desperate, exhausting need to control every outcome.
You stop harshly judging the plot twists of your life while you are still only in the middle of the story.
You find profound peace by embracing the uncertainty rather than continuously fighting a war against reality.
Exactly.
This has been a deeply practical journey through the source material. To summarize the toolkit we've built for you today, remember that you do not have to catch every ball that is thrown at you.
That's a great takeaway.
When someone tosses you their drama or a manufactured crisis at work or an aggressive comment, you can simply step aside and let it drop. You don't have to engage. Remind yourself constantly that life is a test. It is only a test. It is not a permanent emergency.
I am reminded of the wisdom of John Kabat-Zinn, which the sources highlight beautifully. Wherever you go, there you are.
Yes.
You cannot escape a stressed, frantic mind by moving to a bigger house, or taking a tropical vacation, or securing a higher-paying job. If you do not fundamentally change your internal reaction to the small stuff, your stress will simply pack its bags and follow you to your new destination.
So true.
You have to build the peace where you stand, utilizing these tools right now.
I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. It builds on a Tibetan prayer mentioned in the source material, and it offers a radical perspective shift.
Okay, I'm ready.
Think about the very things you have been desperately trying to change or escape in your life right now. The difficult boss, the endless piles of laundry, the delayed flights, the plans that continually fall through.
All the small stuff.
Right. What if those things are not actually obstacles blocking your path to happiness? What if those specific annoyances are the exact custom-tailored conditions you need to practice becoming the patient, peaceful, grounded person you ultimately want to be?
Wow. It changes the entire paradigm when the obstacle itself becomes the curriculum.
It really does. So the next time your personal version of the toast burns and you feel that immediate urge to sound the 5-alarm siren,
Pause.
yes, pause. Take a deep breath before you react. Look at the smoke, shrug it off, and remind yourself it's just burnt toast. And it's all small stuff.